When installing a Perma-Flex floor, it's best to start with a clean, dry substrate that's free from cracks and debris. Inspect the substrate thoroughly for damage and any anti-adherent debris that could interfere with the overall bond of the coatings. Any cracks should be noted and filled to provide a uniform appearance in the final coat. STAUF CCF40 should be applied to the openings and cracks in the substrate. CCF40 is a two-part filling compound that must be thoroughly mixed in order to perform correctly. Simply pour part A into part B and shake vigorously until a uniform color and consistency is achieved. Cut the top of the mixed product and fill cracks. It's okay for some of the product to be left on the floor and not actually have been absorbed fully into the crack. Be sure and fill thoroughly. Failure to do so could leave spots that will telegraph through to the final coat. Once the filler is in place, go back and flat trowel the remaining product off of the floor to ensure a flat finish on the substrate. Place the excess in a container that can be discarded, as it will set up rapidly. After cracks and chips have been treated, it's important to know how absorbent the substrate is. A simple way of testing is by performing a drip test. Sprinkle water on the floor and allow for a couple of minutes for absorption. If water continues to bead, chances are you'll have to grind the substrate to open the pores to accept the coating. If grinding or sanding is required to correct porosity, it may be achieved with grinding wheels, sanding disc, or shot blasting. Be sure to thoroughly grind or sand the floor and abrade the surface so that proper bonding can take place. You should start to notice some slight color variation and/or substantial dust accumulation from the process, which assures the porosity of the substrate is opening up. Once complete with abrasion, the floor must be thoroughly vacuumed with an appropriate filtered vacuum for the majority of dust removal. The substrate then needs to be tacked with mineral spirits or acetone and a cloth to thoroughly remove all fine dust particles for a clean, secure bond. The first coating in the Perma-Flex system is EHS 265 Hydroseal. This product is primarily a primer or moisture emission reduction system. 265 substantially aids in bonding, and this application should not be skipped under any circumstances. Start by removing the locking tab and lock ring closure. Using a screwdriver or longer sharp object, carefully drive the screwdriver through the retaining disc located in the top middle. Once through the disc, proceed to the bottom of the top container and drive several holes through the top container as shown. Allow for time for the top container to completely drain through to the bottom container. Using a low-speed mixer, thoroughly mix the two components together for no less than 3 minutes. Be sure and move the mixing paddles along the sides and the bottom of the container to ensure proper mixing. If not mixed thoroughly, the product will not cure properly. Start by pouring small amounts of sealer close to the walls for cut-in. Using a small roller or brush, apply the product next to the walls as if you were painting a room. Use a large roller to apply thorough coverage for the remainder of the entire room, being sure to overlap and not leave gaps, again, as if painting. As the floor is coated, the product will be white in appearance. As 265 cures, it will become clear. Allow the product to fully cure before moving to step 2 in the process. The application of ULC 500 will require the following tools. You'll need a number 22 trowel, both components of ULC 500, a 3/16 by 5/32 trowel for cut-in around the walls, color-fast tint for desired color, and a low-speed mixer. Remove the lid from the ULC 500 Part A. Start by pre-mixing the ULC 500 until uniform color is achieved. Remove the lid from the color-fast tint and empty the entire contents into the ULC 500 Part A pail. Mix again, thoroughly, until uniform color is achieved. Be sure to mix along the sides and bottom to thoroughly combine all components. Remove the lid from component B and empty the entire contents into component A. Mix thoroughly for 2 to 2.5 minutes until uniform color and consistency is achieved. Start by pouring next to the wall around the perimeter of the room. Using a 3/16 by 5/32 trowel, cut in next to the wall as previously done in the application of the EHS 265. Keeping in mind that this product has a 30-minute working time, it's best to have someone mixing while someone else spreads on larger applications. Using an XTH22 trowel, spread ULC 500 uniformly over the entire surface of the floor. Since the product is self-leveling, don't worry about ridge or trowel marks. They'll level out properly. Once thoroughly covered, completely back roll with the spike roller. This should be performed within 40 minutes of application. This will prevent any bubbles or inconsistencies in the leveling compound's cure. Allow 10 to 12 hours for a complete cure. Once the product is completely cured, use a buffer and a 150 grit screen to completely buff the entire surface to abrade it to accept the next coat. Failure to do so will result in improper adhesion between coats. An orbital sander may also be used with Velcro sanding disc applied to the buffer. As before, sand the area thoroughly. The floor must then be thoroughly vacuumed to remove sanding debris. Once again, tacking the entire surface with mineral spirits and cloth is important to remove final debris. The next step is the CCI 600 epoxy base coat. Prepare the pail as done previously with EHS 265. Be sure to mix the entire contents thoroughly until uniform color and consistency are achieved for a minimum of 3 minutes. Be sure to mix thoroughly along the sides and bottom of the pail. Using a color-fast tint, apply entire contents to the mixed components of the CCI 600. Mix thoroughly until consistency and color are achieved. As with the ULC 500, pour along the walls and cut in around the perimeter of the floor with the trowel. Then, as before, proceed with the XTH22 trowel through the rest of the room. While the base coat is still wet, you may apply vinyl flakes in the color of your choosing, either by hand or by mechanical means. Spiked shoes are required for this process. Once the base coat is completely cured, screen the floor thoroughly again and remove loose vinyl chips and imperfections by hand, and screen around the edges at the cut-in. Thoroughly vacuum the floor, removing sanded material and loose vinyl chips. Most of the vinyl flakes will be thoroughly bonded at this point. Repeat the tacking process to thoroughly clean the surface. The final top coat will require texturing compound, the top coat itself, and mixer. Repeat the same procedures for opening and mixing as with the previous coat, allowing the top component to fully drain into the bottom component. Mixing should require an additional 3 minutes for complete blending of components. Once blending is complete, slowly add the texturing compound and mix while adding until thoroughly blended. Pour mixed contents into a drip pan or paint pan and apply with a foam roller, cutting in along the edges as in previous coats. Then proceed to the remainder of the floor with a large foam roller. The pot life on this product is 30 minutes, so you must move quickly. It's recommended to do a quick back roll before completely cured. Once fully cured, your completed project should provide many years of service. The overall finished product will remain soft underfoot, elastomeric, and impenetrable for years in the future. It will easily clean with any type of surface cleaner, and with the texturing compound, will provide a non-slip surface. For a list of distributors, or for further installation instructions regarding Perma-Flex, contact STAUF at 1-866-GLUE-USA or at staufusa.com for further information.